If you can, please download or print out the PDF file on the description below so you can work with me. Critical path analysis is a method to identify the activities and times required to complete a project. For example, this is an activity chart. Now the project is to catch a bus to school. The task is walk to a bus stop, wait for a bus, get on a bus, and scan Opal card. So these are the tasks. Activity is name of a task. For example, we name activity A is walk to a bus stop. Activity B is wait for a bus, and so on. Duration is the time taken to complete an activity. So for example, activity A is required 5 minutes. Activity B needs 5 minutes to complete. And activity C is 1 minute. And activity D, which is scan Opal card, it takes 1 minute. The total time taken to complete this project is 12 minutes. An immediate predecessor is a prerequisite. Some tasks need to complete before the other task can begin. So for example here, before you wait for the bus, you need to walk to the bus stop first. So in another word, you need to complete activity A before you can do activity B. But activity A, there is no prerequisites. In another word, there is no immediate predecessor. So we just draw a line here. To do activity B, we need to walk to bus stop first. So that is A is the prerequisite of B. So therefore, A is an immediate predecessor of B. So we just write A here. So activity C. So to get on the bus, of course, we need to wait for the bus first. So that in another word, we need to complete activity B before we can do activity C. So therefore, B is an immediate predecessor of C. The last task is to scan Opal card. Before you can scan Opal card, of course, you need to get on the bus first. So in another word, you need to complete activity C before you can begin with activity D. So we just write C here. C is the prerequisite of D, if you like. Let's create an activity task for this project. So the project is to make a cup of instant coffee. So these are the tasks for making a cup of coffee. And you can see these tasks are not in order. To create an activity task, we need to make sure the tasks have to be in order because some tasks have to be complete before the other task can begin. By looking at the task, we can see get a spoon, get a cup, boil the water. These three tasks, there is no prerequisites for any of these. So I can start any of them first. But to save time, I normally boil the water first. And it takes 3 minutes to complete this task. And there is no prerequisites for this task. So therefore, there is no immediate predecessor, if you like. And the second task is I can either get a spoon first or get a cup. Doesn't really matter. But I get a cup first. And it takes 30 seconds for me to do that. Or half of a minute, if you like. And there is no immediate predecessor for this. And the next task is to get a spoon. And then again, it takes 30 seconds or half of a minute. And there is no immediate predecessors for that. After having done these three tasks, I can either pour coffee into a cup or either pour sugar into the cup. So either one of these, but I pour coffee into cup first. And it takes 30 seconds for me to do it. And the immediate predecessor for this task is activity B. We need to have a cup before we can pour water into the cup. So the immediate predecessor for this task is B. And then the next task is I can pour sugar into the cup. And it takes 30 seconds or half of a minute. And again, we need to have a carb before we can do that. So therefore, the immediate predecessor for this task is B. So we need to have a carb first before we can pour sugar into it. And the next task is I pour water into the cup. And it takes me 30 seconds to do that. The prerequisites for this is we need to have coffee and sugar before we can do that. Therefore, activity D and E are immediate predecessor of activity F. Now I can pour milk into my coffee. So that is activity G. And it takes me 30 seconds to do this, or half of a minute. And the immediate predecessor of activity G is F. And the last activity is stir the coffee. So it takes a minute to do that. Before we stir the coffee, we know that we need to have coffee, we need to have sugar, and we need to have hot water, of course, and milk. Then we start stir the coffee. So these are the immediate predecessors of activity H. Please stop the video and try this one yourself. The project is to send a text message to your best friend. So we need to do the right order, of course, because some tasks need to complete before the other task can begin. So the first activity is unlock your phone. And it takes 30 seconds to unlock your phone. And then there is no prerequisites for this. So therefore, I just draw a line here. And after you unlock your phone, what do? So you select the applications. So this task requires 30 seconds or half a minute. And of course, the prerequisite is you can't select the application unless you unlock your phone, right? So therefore, we need to complete activity A before we can do activity B. So in another word, A is the prerequisite of B, or A is an immediate predecessor of B. So we write A there. And the next task is to search for your friend name. So you can send it to the right person, right? So search for your friend name, and the time for this task is 30 seconds or half of a minute. And the prerequisites for this, of course, you need to select the application first. So which is, we need to complete task B before you can do task C. So B is an immediate predecessor of C. So after task C, so you can start typing. So type a message, and it takes 3 minutes to complete the task. And the prerequisite is, of course, you have to be in the application. You have to select the application before you can type the message. So therefore, the prerequisites for this is you need to complete task B before you can do task D. So after you type the message, what do? You send the message. So how? Select send. So this is task E. Select send, and the time for this task is 30 seconds or half of a minute. Now the prerequisite is, of course, before you send the message, you have to type the message first. So the prerequisites for activity E is activity D. And the last task is you turn the mobile phone off when you finish the message. So this is the last task. And it takes 30 seconds or half of a minute. Of course, the prerequisites for activity F is activity E. You don't want to turn the mobile phone off before you send the message. You have to send the message, then you turn the phone off. Therefore, the prerequisites for activity F is activity E. Thank you so much for watching.